Walang aywanan.
Nike has just placed Alex Eala's face on billboards all across New York City. Not a small poster tucked away in one corner of Queens. Not a single online ad campaign buried somewhere on a website. Her image is going up right as the US Open approaches in the same city, on the same streets where the eyes of the entire tennis world are about to turn. And for millions of Filipinos, this single fact has triggered a wave of shock that has nothing to do with tennis scores and everything to do with what this moment represents.
My name is Celine. What's your favorite Filipino food? Because I'm also Filipino.
Oh, hi, Celine. What's your favorite Filipino food? You love pancit? I love pancit too. I really like caldereta. I also love sisig.
I also love seeing this because it has never happened before. Not for a Filipino athlete, not on this scale, and not in a city like New York where advertising space is among the most competitive and expensive on the planet, reserved almost exclusively for the biggest names in global sports and entertainment. Screenshots and clips of the billboards have reportedly started circulating through Filipino community groups online, with many describing the sight as something they never expected to witness in their lifetime, let alone in a city as packed with global advertising as New York.
Step out on center court, take out the defending champ in Iga. I just thought about what a huge day it is for the Philippines. And she's an inspirational person. Everywhere you see her play, she's got a crazy amount of fans, and she means so much.
To understand why this billboard campaign feels so significant, you have to understand what came before it. For decades, the only Filipino athlete to reach true global commercial visibility was Manny Pacquiao, whose face became recognized worldwide through boxing broadcasts and pay-per-view events. Outside the boxing ring, Filipino athletes have almost never received this kind of mainstream advertising spotlight from a global company in a city as culturally powerful as New York. Tennis, in particular, has historically been one of the hardest sports for Filipino athletes to break into at the elite level, let alone become a commercial star in. The infrastructure, funding, and international exposure simply were not built for it. That absence is exactly why Nike's decision to feature Alex Eala this way feels like more than marketing. It feels like history.
Like designing a kit with Nike that included the national flower of the Philippines. That's so cool.
That was actually a surprise for me. My agent sent me over the presentation of this Sampaguita project that Nike had made. It was like 2 nights before my match at Wimbledon. It was so beautiful. Like the message behind it was great. I felt like it fit me so much. And I was so lucky that I got to play on center. The stars aligned for me. I mean, would have aligned even more if I'd won. But I was just so happy to be there, and I was like wearing my little flower. Oh my gosh, it was insane.
Alex Eala is 21 years old. She is left-handed, stands 5'9", and trains at the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain. The same academy built and endorsed by Rafael Nadal himself. For years, she was known mainly to serious tennis followers as a promising junior talent from the Philippines. Someone quietly tracked by scouts, but mostly invisible to the mainstream. That changed permanently on August 3rd of this year when she defeated world number 3 Jessica Pegula in a rain-delayed final to win the Mubadala DC Open. It made her the first Filipino ever, man or woman, to win a WTA singles title. Since that win, her ranking has climbed to a career high of number 20 in the world. She has beaten a former Grand Slam champion. She has been profiled by ESPN, the WTA, and tennis outlets across the globe. And now, less than 3 weeks before the US Open begins, Nike has escalated its bet on her in the most visible way possible, choosing New York City itself as the stage for that bet.
This is the goal, to do well on the WTA Tour. I'm super proud of what I was able to accomplish, but the end goal...
For this year, Eala's biggest career moments came mostly on the Junior Tour, where she won multiple Grand Slam junior titles, and in qualifying rounds where she often had to battle through several matches just to reach the main draw of top-level events. That grind, largely invisible to casual fans, is part of why her breakthrough this season feels less like a sudden discovery and more like years of quiet groundwork finally paying off in front of a global audience.
Did Nike just give Alex Eala the best US Open kit? Because after seeing Sinner, Alcaraz, and Sabalenka's looks, I really think they did. So this is her look reveal, and Nike absolutely cooked with this one. I love this royal blue, the black and white trims, and the mesh panels give off this cool retro basketball-inspired look. And after becoming the first Filipina to win a WTA title, she's now heading into New York with arguably the best.
According to a report from Business World, Nike released a special official kit for Eala ahead of the US Open, which runs from August 30th through September 13th in Flushing Meadows. The dress is blue and white, deliberately designed to echo the colors of the Philippine national basketball, football, and volleyball teams. It retails for $140. Nike did not stop at the uniform. They also released a customized Alex Eala shirt featuring a flower design priced at $42, along with a Sampaguita-inspired hair accessory and visor. The Sampaguita is the national flower of the Philippines, often associated with purity, humility, and strength. Qualities frequently used to describe Eala herself by fans and commentators alike. Every detail in the campaign was chosen deliberately.
Helped make history at Wimbledon with a hair tie. Tennis player Alex Eala is the first player from the Philippines to make the main draw at Wimbledon. For her debut, she wore a custom hair tie by Nike featuring the Sampaguita or jasmine flower, which is the national flower of the Philippines. In the gift box, Nike also included a Filipino proverb in Tagalog, and it read, "Kung may tinanim, may aanihin." I hope my Tagalog's okay. It basically translates to, "You reap what you sow." Alex called the Sampaguita flower a reminder of where she came from. It's incredibly rare to see a Filipina athlete wearing her culture proudly on a global stage like this, center court no less, especially because tennis famously lacks diversity and is often associated with white country club types.
Nike has done culturally specific campaigns for Eala before, during Wimbledon last year and again this year. But this time, insiders say the scale is different. This time, her images are reportedly appearing on outdoor advertisings throughout New York City itself, timed precisely to when the eyes of the entire tennis world turn to that city for the US Open, giving the campaign a level of visibility no previous rollout for her has come close to matching. Outdoor advertising in New York City is not cheap, and it is rarely handed to athletes who have not already proven sustained commercial demand. Brand strategists point out that Nike typically reserves this kind of placement for athletes it expects to remain relevant well beyond a single tournament, suggesting the company views her rise as more than a short-term news cycle. New York is home to one of the largest Filipino communities outside the Philippines itself, and that community has not stayed quiet. Community members interviewed in recent weeks have described a mixture of disbelief and pride at seeing their own culture represented at this scale in a city that rarely acknowledges it. One phrase kept resurfacing across interviews and social posts alike. She is carrying all of us with her. You're from the Philippines.
The Philippines, there are not many tennis players from the Philippines. How did you become a tennis player from the Philippines?
I started tennis because of my family. My brother is 3 years older and he started before me and was coached by my grandfather. So it was a way for us to kind of bond, and he was my coach for 10 years, the first 10 years of my career. So yeah.
In her own interviews, Eala has repeatedly acknowledged the responsibility that comes with representing her country on this stage. Speaking to reporters ahead of the US Open, she described her mindset simply. It's the same lines. It's the same size ball. A line that reflects how she tries to separate the pressure of national symbolism from the competition itself. Yet even she cannot fully escape what her rise has come to mean to millions who see themselves in her every time she steps on court. Young Filipino athletes, particularly young girls, have begun citing Eala as the reason they picked up a racket for the first time. Tennis clubs in Manila and Cebu have reported surges in youth enrollment specifically tied to her rise, with waiting lists forming at facilities that struggled to fill courts just 2 years ago. For a sport that has historically struggled for visibility in a country dominated by basketball and boxing, that shift matters enormously, and it may end up being one of the most lasting effects of this entire moment.
We're just very proud of where we come from, and we have a really strong sense of community, and you can see it when someone does well. We're a community that uplifts each other, and we're quite positive people, and when positive things happen to other Filipinos around the world, I think we kind of share the enjoyment and share in the happiness.
Analysts covering Philippine sports business have pointed out that Eala's success, paired now with a global billboard campaign from Nike, could permanently change how tennis is perceived and funded across the country. Government, sports officials, and private sponsors alike are reportedly re-evaluating investment in tennis infrastructure, something that seemed unthinkable before this year. This is no longer just about one athlete's career. It is being framed as the start of an entirely new sporting era for Filipino sport as a whole, for a country of over 115 million people, spread across a diaspora that reaches nearly every continent. Seeing one of their own placed at the center of a global advertising campaign in America's most visible city carries weight that goes far beyond a tennis tournament. It taps into a decades-long hunger for recognition on a stage the Philippines has rarely been given access to outside of boxing. Really emotional.
And maybe for someone like Iga, who has won so many slams, or maybe someone like Serena or Venus, this achievement may seem small, but for someone who grew up in the Philippines and you know, I went to train with my brother and my grandfather every day after school with my ruffled socks and my light-up shoes and chubby cheeks. So to her, this is everything.
Community leaders in New York have described organizing informal meetups just to see the billboards in person, treating the sighting almost like a pilgrimage. For families who immigrated generations ago, many of whom have never seen a Filipino face representing anything beyond a local restaurant or grocery store in their neighborhood, this is described as an entirely new kind of visibility. Pride in this context is not abstract. It is walking past a wall-sized image of someone who looks like you, speaks your language, and carries your flag in the middle of one of the most expensive advertising markets on the planet. Several second-generation Filipino Americans interviewed in recent days described a similar feeling of finally being seen, not as a footnote in someone else's story, but as the subject of one themselves. For a diaspora often defined by quiet contribution rather than public celebration, that shift in visibility is being described as deeply personal, far beyond anything sport alone typically produces. Beyond emotion, some community voices have pointed to a practical dimension as well. Increased visibility for Filipino talent on a global stage, they argue, can translate into greater confidence for Filipino professionals and entrepreneurs operating in industries where representation has historically been thin. Seeing a Filipino name treated as a premium brand asset by a company like Nike, they say, quietly shifts how the culture is perceived in boardrooms as much as on billboards. Eala mania is fun. Will you have watch parties in arenas around your country for a fourth-round match?
It's fun. When you have watch parties in arenas around your country for a fourth-round match, I'm in.
With free popcorn.
I am here for Eala mania. It's great for tennis. I don't want to hear any of that bullshit like, oh, I don't care. It's you stop talking. No, this is a movement. She is creating a movement of a sect of tennis fandom that largely didn't exist a couple of years ago. Thank you.
We're talking about a country with more than 100 million people. I mean, she took out the defending champion. This isn't just...
Listen, it was a fun story when she broke out at Miami. We wanted more of it. She's top 30, beating players at majors. It went from a fun story to a very real story and a phenomenon, and we should all grab it, embrace it, love it, shake it, be thankful for.
Filipino social media has in the past wildly overstated claims around Eala's commercial value. Earlier this year, a viral claim spread suggesting she had signed a $45 million endorsement deal with Wilson. That claim was investigated and confirmed false by fact-checkers. It never happened, yet it spread for weeks before being corrected. However, outlets like Business World and ESPN report that Nike committed to a real culturally specific campaign timed to the US Open, including a special kit and apparel line built entirely around Filipino identity. Nike has a long history of scaling up visibility for athletes right before Grand Slams events. Given Eala's rising commercial appeal and expanded New York presence fits that pattern closely. The US Open women's singles draw is set to be revealed on August 27th. Eala enters the tournament as a genuine threat rather than a surprise underdog, something almost unthinkable for a Filipino tennis player just 12 months ago. Whether or not her face truly covers billboards across every corner of New York, one thing is already undeniable. She has become the most visible Filipino athlete outside of boxing in a generation, and companies like Nike have taken notice in a very real, very intentional way.
Guys, hear me out. You know, I think we're downplaying the impact Alex Eala has. I mean, of course, if you hear her name, you would immediately think of tennis. But she did not introduce tennis to Filipinos. We already know what tennis is. We already know the sport. But we don't watch tennis. And especially, not all of us play tennis. We don't even have the privilege to do so because we don't have a lot of courts here. So the only ones we're spending a lot of time on are usually volleyball, basketball. It's only those sports that are always televised on PVL, PBA. So here's a kwento time about how I started as a fan of Alex Eala to realizing that her impact
Some analysts believe this moment could open the door for other Filipino athletes across different sports, arguing that visibility at this level creates a commercial appetite that did not exist before. Others caution that one athlete's rise, no matter how dramatic, cannot single-handedly reshape a sporting culture overnight. Both perspectives are being debated actively as her profile continues to grow, heading into the final Grand Slam of the year. For millions of Filipinos watching from home, from New York apartments, and from diaspora communities scattered across the world, this moment is no longer just about whether she wins her next match. It is about what her presence in that city represents. A flag, a flower, a name most of the world did not know a year ago,
on center
now
court,
impossible to
take out the
ignore.
defending
There is
champ
also
in
a
Iga.
broader
I just thought
conversation
about what a
forming around what
huge
happens
day
after
it
the
is
U.S. Open
for
ends,
the Philippines.
win or
She's
lose.
an inspirational person.
Some
Everywhere you see her
commentators
play, she's
argue
got
that
a
Eala's
crazy amount
commercial
of fans, and
visibility has
she
already
means
outpaced
so much.
what any single tournament result could take away, meaning her position as a cultural symbol may now be somewhat independent of her match outcomes. Others push back, noting that professional sport is unforgiving, and that sustained commercial interest almost always depends on continued results on the court, not just symbolism off it. So, here is the real question worth sitting with. Is this the start of Filipino athletes finally getting the global commercial spotlight they have long been denied? Or is this a single well-timed marketing moment that will fade the moment the tournament ends?